Joining us now to discuss is constitutional law attorney Amir Benno and distinguished university professor at Touro College, Thane Rosenbaum. Thank you both for joining us. Let's get directly to some of what Mike was talking about so people can hear from themselves in case they missed it. New York Attorney General Letitia James explaining the findings in relation to the Cuomo investigation. Listen.
These interviews and pieces of evidence reveal a deeply disturbing yet clear picture. Governor Cuomo sexually harassed current and former state employees in violation of both federal and state laws. Governor Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, many of whom were young women, by engaging in unwanted groping, kisses, hugging, and by making inappropriate comments.
So, Amir, I'll start with you. James went on to make clear that this investigation is civil in nature and that there are no criminal consequences from their report. So can there be criminal consequences? What will happen next?
Yes, there can be criminal consequences. And the reason why she's not bringing them immediately herself, if I had to speculate, has to do with Section 63 of the New York State's executive law, which says that the Attorney General can bring criminal cases in violation of the New York civil rights laws only if the district attorneys either cannot or will not bring those charges themselves. So I think that she's letting them, she's going to present them with her factual findings, and then she's going to see whether or not they bring those criminal prosecutions. If not, you may well see the Attorney General step in to do that. As far as federal, there's federal criminal violations that would be within the purview of the U.S. Attorney's Office, and there are federal civil rights statutes that seem to have been violated here, and we'll have to see whether the U.S. Attorney takes those up.
We're also joined by Thane Rosenbaum. Thane, take a listen to Attorney Ann Clark detailing some of the offensive behavior conducted by Governor Cuomo.
The governor grabbed this young woman's butt. At another event in May of 2017, the governor pressed and ran his fingers across the chest of a woman while reading the name of her company, whose logo was on her chest. The governor also engaged in a widespread pattern of subjecting women to unwanted hugs and kisses and touching them in ways that made them uncomfortable. Conduct that is not just old-fashioned, affectionate behavior, as he and some of his staff members would have it, but unlawful sex-based harassment. In addition to the physical conduct, our investigation found that the governor regularly made comments to staff members and state employees that were offensive and gender-based.
Okay, so about an hour ago, the governor came out, Thane, and essentially denied that he did anything wrong. Does this come down to he said, she said, or does this investigation give more heft to their argument?
Good question. Look, I think the governor's position seemed to be, I'm 62 years old, I'm a man of my time. He even invoked his parents. He said, you know, this is what my father was a former governor of the state of New York. I'm an Italian American, I'm an ethnic. Of course I'm kissing people on their head and in their arms, you know, and their hands. Of course I'm affectionate with them. So I think he's basically saying there may be something here that is inappropriate, but don't call me Bill Cosby. Don't call me Harvey Weinstein. For the love of God, if anything, I'm a 62-year-old man who really is out of practice in dating. And I think that was sort of the argument he's making. Meanwhile, the state attorney general basically said, look, I've just created an enormous file of evidence that can be used in civil lawsuits. There are tortious elements to this civil lawsuit. There's employment discrimination and hostile work environment issues. And as Amir said, you have both federal civil rights issues, as well as, if a district attorney wishes to proceed first, Letitia James might be saying, I'll hold back to see how a local DA might feel about this case.
Yeah, you even had Cuomo himself in his statement today calling for a full judge and jury because he said he believed that they would find him innocent. I do want to ask you about this move in terms of impeachment, because lots of calls for the governor to step down, which obviously he has no intention of doing, calls for him to be impeached. Amir, it's my understanding that both houses of the New York State legislature, which are controlled by Democrats, do have the power is this correct, to impeach him? And what would that process be?
Yes, Heather, you're right. So there's two houses in our legislature here in New York, the Assembly and the Senate. The Assembly is made up of 150 members, and you need a bare majority. It's the same thing that happens federally. You need a resolution, you need a vote, you need a bare majority, you need 76 votes in order to impeach. Then it moves over to the Senate, where a trial would be conducted. The difference between federally and the state is the trial in the Senate would be presided over by all of the judges of the highest court in New York. And during the period of time that the governor is impeached, he or she, in this case, it would be Governor Cuomo, has to step down. So he would be sidelined during that period of time. And the lieutenant governor, who is Kathy Hochul, would step in and be acting governor until that you get a verdict in the impeachment trial. Now, right now, you have 40 Democrats who have already signed on to impeach Governor Cuomo, and you have over 40 Republicans in the Assembly who are willing to do it as well. So the numbers are there to impeach him. Unfortunately, the Democrats refuse to get the votes of the Republicans. They want to have all 76 votes being Democrat. So that's the problem. Their votes are there to impeach Governor Cuomo. They just won't do it.
Thane, we've got about 30 seconds. How do you think this plays out? I mean, we've already, Letitia James mentioned there were laws violated here on the federal level as well as the state level, but you have somebody who's entrenched politically and entrenched in his job as governor. He's going to fight this. From your experience, how do you see this playing out?
You know, again, he is going to fight this. Remember, this is Andrew Cuomo, who was the enforcer for his own father. Right? He, at no point, he was not contrite here at all. He didn't do what you would think he might have said, right? At no point did he say that. So I think that and it's the reason he's not stepping down. I also think we should not forget that polling is going to matter, even for state legislators. You know, Cuomo, as of a few months ago, even with this and even with the nursing home COVID issues, was somewhat popular in New York. And to undergo an impeachment hearing, that is, we've done this with President Trump. It's ugly and it's brutal, and you can see people saying the proper remedy here is to vote him out of office. Don't give him a fourth term, but don't put the state through this, given the fact that we have now also an investigation against his administration in connection with their handling of COVID in the nursing home.
Yeah. Not only was he not contrite, he called out specific victims by name today in his statement. There's a whole lot more that I would like to ask everyone, but we're out of time. Amir and Thane, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.